apprehend. And because of trying to, get at the criminal, then the officer now mistakenly fires his shot at an innocent person. Then in that case, going by the facts in favor of the officer.
I'm really shocked by this development, really, and I'm given that we are still talking about this police brutality thing, it hasn't gone away just yet. Where he was driving a Benz along the ENUGU Port Harcourt Expressway. I don't know. This is just something that happened 2 weeks ago or so, and then this week we are seeing last week we're seeing this particular issue. One would think that with what you have seen and
I have to revert to the issue of Iboja in addressing this question. Iboja's case may not be in the head of this static. I say this because prior to now, I believe that the government of the day kept mum. Even there is a particular case that was decided by the High Court of the Nigerian people. The Nigerian police wasn't created for the conventional roles being played by the men. Officers and men of the Nigerian police force, they have embraced being committed by these individuals. If not, in the case of Chikachukwu that I mentioned, various establishments were notified about the pendency of that judgment, and nothing was done about it. And the rest assured that there had been such
case. What really happened? How was it killed?
He was killed in an extrajudicial manner. There was evidence placed before the court that direction. Whereas in the true sense of it, at the end of the day, that particular individual may be innocent. When you actually unravel the facts and circumstances of that particular case. We've had instances whereby people may be in possession of firearms without their neighbors being aware. You may be in the same vehicle with another individual who has some dangerous weapons in his custody without your being aware. In which case, when both parties are apprehended, they may find themselves in the same in the same terrain of being a criminal suspect. We've had instances whereby people were aware of the activities of some officers whose pastime is that of inflicting harm and embarking on all forms of extrajudicial killing. But because they feel that their interest is protected, because they believe that, of course, they have retinue of policemen and even soldiers at their beck and call who protect them, that the interest of the commoner is of
in this type of volatile environment. Do you think looking rough should, warrant anything that has to do with killing of a civilian?
That's an interesting one, because we will soon have a situation whereby people, in fact, it's already playing out in the country. People are being profiled based on their appearance. I know one should dress the way one would like to be addressed. But you should also appreciate that there are some professions for some professions and occupations that go hand in glove with some forms of dressing. And as an artist, as an organic artist, the disease Iboja has always been known to. He's a well-known fellow. Moreover, if you claim that the reason behind his ordeal had to do with had to do with his appearance, you shouldn't have allowed him come close to the anti-court unit in the first instance. You should have told him, come on, Mr. Boja. We wanted you to perform for us, but we don't love the way. Please go back, go and change. But you allowed him. You are dancing to this thing. You saw the officers celebrating that. So it has nothing to do with his appearance. This is just some of the flimsy excuses. And let me even say something. If you go to some civilized nations, well-trained police officers, no matter how responsible you may look, if you're a criminal, they will know. They may not, have any evidence to lay their hands on. In fact, well-seasoned police officers, even here in Nigeria, maybe while executing their duties, mere looking at you, they can ask psychologically to know if you have something, if you have a question to answer. Not necessarily going by your appearance.
All right, Barrister, many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate. We'll just leave it here and continue following up with the update. So many persons have commended the governor with the way and manner that he responded quickly, visiting the family. We know there were youths that also protested about this particular death, but the government have also stated that They should give them some time in order for investigations to be done. And but the police have. You are nodding your head.
That's a very serious blunder. I hinted that you cannot arraign a man when you are not yet through with investigation. That's probably in this case anyway. You cannot arraign a man in court when you are not yet through with investigation because you concluded less than 5 days you are arraigned in court and remanded because for you to arraign him in court, you proceed. The government may also have a case to answer. If the government is now being in a haste to arraign the young man, the government, anybody involved in that is now also a suspect. Those who hastily arraign the officer should also, in all these criminal acts, whenever there is a crime, even those who are crying seriously, go and investigate them as well. If a man of a family or if a woman in a family is murdered, if a woman is murdered, the husband is the prime suspect, even when he's shouting that
Remember what former President Obasanjo said, one of his favorite quotes, "You can give me advice, but I don't have to take it." The IMF and World Bank, part of their role is advisory, amongst other things, where they want to make sure that the economy is stable, there's prosperity, there's poverty reduction, etc. Yes, over the years we have actually not seen the type of progress or growth that we would have expected. The various regimes that the World Bank and the IMF and other institutions like that have their own policies, they have their own agenda, and they try as much as possible to assist countries, break out of we are where we are today. We are developed, we are less dependent. We have now crossed that line because of our involvement in bilateral relationships and external financing. And it's hard to actually find. So you ask yourself, has it really, are we, just like your question, are we really on the right track? Are we getting the right advice? Are we depending too much on these institutions? And I think to a large extent, I think we are. A number of countries over time have actually found out that this whole idea of either your prices or your tax regime, etc., is not really working the way it's supposed to work. And so, Labour is right to a large extent, saying, listen, hey, we've actually, swallowed this whole reform advice, hook, line, and sinker. And maybe it's time we start looking internal and start using our own resources and our own, both physical and human resources to now chart a course into how we are going to now move the country going forward. Because if there was no IMF and World Bank, the country is not going to fold up. We're still going to, work towards achieving that objective. And so, in the past year and a half now, we've had some very, very, still so many questions still need to be answered. And
okay, I'm just beginning to ask, are there examples of IMF and World Bank policies that, that have shown any positivity in terms of the economic situation of the country? Because I'm beginning to think that IMF and World Bank, they have their own personal interest in all the policies they keep on proffering to Nigeria.
well, yes, yeah, there will always be those interests. The World Bank wants to see poverty reduced. The World Bank wants to see, prosperity in terms of, Nigerians being able to achieve as a people. They want to see the youth, they want to see women, they want to see disabled, they want to see, those vulnerable groups rise from where they are today to a level where they can be at least self-sustainable. The IMF, wants to see...
15 years to actualize for the implementation of that policy and for us to see that actual light at the end of the tunnel. So it means there's going to be a continuous hardship